The Antarctic wind howled across the research station as Dr. Alina Reyes hunched over her instruments, her breath fogged in the sub-zero lab despite the heaters working overtime. Energy readings are spiking again, she called to her team. Whatever's down there, it's not geological. 2 months of drilling had led them here, chasing anomalous readings 3 kilometers beneath the ice. The United Nations Antarctic Research Initiative had expected minerals, perhaps a geothermal vent. What they hadn't expected was the perfectly symmetrical chamber their probes had revealed. Final descent, announced Wei Chen, their drill operator. Penetration in 3, 2, 1. The drill bit pierced the chamber ceiling with a sudden lack of resistance. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the instruments went haywire. Power surge, shouted Katri, the electrical engineer. Systems overloading. Alina watched in fascination as a soft blue pulse emanated from the borehole, rippling upward through the ice. It passed through the ceiling, through her body, and kept going. A perfect sphere of energy expanding outward. Did everyone else feel that? She whispered. Before anyone could answer, every communication device in the station activated simultaneously. Phones, radios, computers, all blaring with bursts of unknown languages and digital signals. It's coming from everywhere, Chatri said, checking the satellite uplink. Not just here. Global reports coming in. Something's broadcasting to Earth from deep space. Thousands of signals, all at once. Alina's blood ran cold. She understood with sudden clarity what they had done. We were hidden, she whispered, and now we're not. 72 hours later, Alina stood before a hastily assembled UN Security Council. Dark circles shadowed her eyes. She hadn't slept since Antarctica. The device we deactivated was a planetary cloaking system, she explained, her voice steady despite her exhaustion. Based on our analysis of the signals we're receiving, Earth has been hidden from the galactic community for approximately 12,000 years. On the screens behind her, grainy images from the Hubble's successor showed the unmistakable geometrical shapes of vessels approaching Earth's orbit. First contact is imminent, she continued. But there's something you need to understand. These transmissions we've intercepted and partially translated. She pressed a button, and alien text scrolled across the screens, translated in dozens of human languages. Asterisk alert. Quarantine breach in Sector 3.1 asterisk. Asterisk. The isolated ones have deactivated the shield asterisk. Asterisk. The terrors are awakening asterisk. Asterisk. All border vessels converge. Containment protocols active asterisk. They're not greeting us, Alina said, her voice dropping. They're warning each other about us. Whatever these species thought they knew about Earth, they're terrified. According to what we've translated, they believe we developed along what they call a forbidden technological path. A military general leaned forward. Are you suggesting they see us as a threat? We've barely reached our own moon. Alina shook her head. No, sir. That's what I'm trying to explain. Their fear isn't about our space travel capabilities. It's about our computational systems, our neural networks, our approaches to quantum mechanics, technologies they apparently abandoned millennia ago for some reason. On the screens, more alien vessels appeared. They don't see us as primitive newcomers to be welcomed or conquered, Alina said quietly. They see us as monsters who must be contained at all costs. And based on their transmissions, they've been preparing for this possibility for thousands of years. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. We never saw them, whispered the Secretary General. But they've been watching for us all along. Neutral ground station hung in Earth's orbit like a gleaming silver coin. Humanity's hastily constructed diplomatic outpost, and the designated meeting point with the Galactic Coalition. 6 weeks since first contact, and the alien delegation had finally agreed to face-to-face negotiations. Admiral James Chen watched through the observation deck as the Coalition vessel docked. Unlike the utilitarian efficiency of human spacecraft, the alien ship was all sweeping curves and iridescent materials. Impressive, he commented to Dr. Elena Reyes, who stood beside him. "Designed to be," she replied. "Every aspect calculated to awe primitive species. Classic dominance display." The airlock cycled, and Grand Ambassador Talaran entered. Standing nearly 7 feet tall, with opalescent skin and 4 upper limbs, the alien cut an imposing figure in elaborately layered ceremonial garments. "Greetings, children of Earth." Talaran's words came through the translation device at his throat. "The 27 worlds of the Galactic Coalition welcome you to the civilized stars." Chen caught the slight narrowing of Elena's eyes. *Children*. The formalities proceeded with excruciating precision. Talaran spoke at length about the Coalition's 5,000 years of peaceful cooperation, their technological marvels, their benevolent guidance of emerging species. "And now," Talaran concluded, "we offer you the Coalition's protection and wisdom. Your species shows unusual potential." "That's very generous," Chen replied with practiced diplomacy. "Perhaps you could demonstrate some of this advanced technology. We're particularly interested in your neural interface systems." Talaran's upper limbs made a gesture of magnanimous consent. One of his aides stepped forward, activating a device that projected a 3-dimensional display. "Our crowning achievement," Talaran announced. "Direct neural digital integration, allowing control of machinery through thought alone." Chen struggled to keep his expression neutral. The technology was impressive. By early 21st century standards, Earth had surpassed it decades ago. He glanced at Elena, whose face remained carefully blank. "Remarkable," Chen said. "We'd be interested in exchange programs to study such innovations." Later, as the human delegation conferred privately, Elena pulled up her analysis. "They're terrified," she said simply. "Their neural tech is rudimentary, because they deliberately abandoned that research path. I've analyzed their microexpressions and vocal patterns. Every time they discuss Earth's technological development, their stress indicators spike. So their generous offer of protection is really containment," Chen concluded. "Precisely. And there's something else." Elena lowered her voice despite the secure room. "Their intelligence agents attempted to infiltrate Earth's networks during the diplomatic exchange." Chen's expression hardened. "Casualties. 3 Coalition operatives suffering severe neural feedback. They expected primitive digital systems. Instead, they encountered the quantum web. And they're still comatose. Their technology can't process consciousness-level data flows. It would be like trying to download an ocean through a garden hose." The next morning, Talaran presented the Coalition's formal offer. Technological exchange, carefully limited, cultural integration, strictly supervised, and protective status, effectively vassalage, for Earth. "We ask only that you submit your technological development to Coalition oversight," Talaran concluded smoothly. "For safety, some paths of advancement can be destabilizing." Chen smiled for the first time since negotiations began. "Thank you for your generous offer, Ambassador. Before we respond, perhaps you'd like to see these." He activated the display terminal. It showed detailed scans of the Coalition Defense Network, orbital platforms, patrol routes, command centers, data that would have required years of espionage to gather. "Our satellites mapped your entire system during your journey here," Chen said quietly. "We appreciate your concern for our development. But as you can see, we're developing just fine on our own." Talaran's opalescent skin paled to translucent as he stared at information no outsider should possess. "We don't want conflict," Chen added. "We want genuine cooperation, as equals." The message was clear. They never saw us coming. And now, they couldn't stop us. The New Horizon, Earth's first true interstellar vessel, cruised at half-light speed toward Alpha Centauri. Captain Maya Okonkwo stood on the bridge, dark eyes fixed on the holographic display that showed their progress. Humanity's first extrasolar colony ship carried 20,000 settlers in cryo-sleep, pioneers for a new world. "Captain," called Lieutenant Diaz from the sensor station. Multiple objects approaching from bearing 047. Configuration unknown. Maya's expression remained calm, but her pulse quickened. Time to intercept. 17 minutes, Captain. Their velocity suggests advanced propulsion. Battle stations, Maya ordered. Initiate swarm protocol. Throughout the massive ship, compartments opened, releasing clouds of microscopic machines into the environmental systems. The crew moved with practiced efficiency, but there was no panic. They had trained for this possibility. The communication system activated with a harsh burst of static, resolving into a face, vaguely reptilian with bony ridges and vertical pupils. Primitive vessel, the alien announced in accented English. This is Commander Vexkar of the Purity Front. Your intrusion into civilized space cannot be tolerated. Prepare to be cleansed. Maya stood, straightening her uniform. This is Captain Maya Okonkwo of Earth Vessel, New Horizon. We're on a peaceful mission to establish a colony. We have no hostile intent. Your existence is hostile intent, Vexkar hissed. Your species develops forbidden technologies. The Coalition may tolerate your contamination, but the Purity Front will not. The transmission cut. Maya turned to her weapons officer. Status of the swarm. Deployed and ready, Captain. Awaiting final activation. Maya nodded once. Enabled defensive parameters only. No aggressive action unless fired upon. Minutes ticked by. On the display, 7 warships approached in attack formation. They're charging weapons. Dias reported. Energy signatures consistent with plasma cannons. Hold position, Maya ordered. The first shots came seconds later. Brilliant streaks of energy slicing toward the asterisk New Horizon asterisk. They never reached their target. Meters from the hull, the beams seemed to dissolve into glittering dust. Swarm engaging. The weapons officer confirmed. Defensive protocols functioning at optimal efficiency. On the screen, confusion spread through the attacking fleet as their weapons proved useless. The Purity Front ships launched physical projectiles next, missiles that disintegrated before impact, consumed by clouds of microscopic machines that broke them down at the molecular level. They're moving to surround us, Dias warned. Maya nodded. Let them. The alien ships encircled the New Horizon, closing in for what they assumed would be an easy kill against a defenseless prey. Instead, they found themselves engulfed in glittering clouds that swarmed over their hulls, seeking vulnerabilities. Vexkar's face appeared again on the screen, features contorted with rage. What is this technology? Our systems are failing. Nanoscale defensive systems, Maya replied calmly. The swarm consumes energy weapons and disables electronic systems without harming organic life. Your engines are being systematically disabled. Your weapons are being dismantled. You must surrender. Vexkar demanded, desperation replacing rage. Maya's expression hardened. We're not conquering you. We're not even fighting you. This is just pest control. Within minutes, all 7 warships drifted powerless, their systems methodically neutralized down to the circuit level. No lives lost on either side, just the complete technological castration of an aggressor force. As Maya dispatched shuttles to retrieve the stranded Purity Front crews, she opened a channel to Earth. First contact with hostile forces concluded. 0 casualties. The swarm performed beyond expectations. She paused, watching the once mighty warships now floating helpless in space. They expected primitive savages, she added. They found something far worse. Humans who've outgrown the need for savagery. Quarantine has failed, declared High Executor Kolvos to the Coalition Emergency Council. The towering avian alien punctuated his statement by slamming a clawed hand onto the obsidian table. Human cultural contamination spreads across 17 worlds despite our best efforts. The council chambers on Xillar Prime, heart of the Galactic Coalition, buzzed with anxious murmurs. Data streams projected across the chamber showed the extent of the problem. Underground markets trading Earth music, art, philosophy, and technology. Their ideas are infectious, hissed Counselor Maveth, her serpentine form coiling tighter in distress. The concept of continuous innovation, a value we bred out of our societies millennia ago, proves dangerously attractive to our youth. In a darkened laboratory 3 levels below the council chambers, Coalition scientist Arnancy hunched over a workstation. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence as he studied genetic comparisons between human DNA and samples from 23 Coalition species. Remarkable, he whispered to himself. They never stopped evolving. Arnancy belonged to the Archivists, one of the oldest Coalition species. Like most advanced civilizations, they had used genetic engineering to optimize themselves, a common practice across the Coalition. But his research revealed a disturbing truth. Optimization had become stagnation. Most Coalition species had engineered themselves into evolutionary dead ends, sacrificing adaptability for stability. Humans, by contrast, remained genetically chaotic, wildly adaptable, constantly changing. Their technological development followed the same pattern: messy, unpredictable, innovative. His communication implant chimed. A secure channel from Earth. Dr. Reyes, Arnancy acknowledged. I've reviewed your proposal. The risks are significant. Alina Reyes' voice came through clearly despite the distance. The Coalition leadership is preparing for war, Arnancy. We've intercepted their communications. They see no option but to eliminate humanity entirely. Arnancy's inner eyelids flickered, a sign of distress in his species. I've compiled the classified files you requested. Historical records, genetic studies, technological suppression directives. The truth about why the Coalition fears adaptive species. When can you transmit? I can't. Security protocols would detect data that size. I must deliver it personally. 2 days later, Arnancy's shuttle docked at Nexus Station, a crowded trading hub at the Coalition border. Security forces had been alerted to his defection. They cornered him in the central plaza, energy weapons ready. Surrender the human data, scientist, ordered the security captain. Your treason ends here. Civilians scattered as weapons charged. Arnancy clutched the data crystal, containing centuries of Coalition secrets. His research would die with him. Then it happened. Throughout the station, holographic displays flickered. Thousands of small stealth ships appeared on monitoring systems, vessels that had been in position for months, completely undetected by Coalition sensors. Admiral Chen's face appeared on every screen. This is Admiral James Chen of Earth Defense Force. The vessels you now see represent a fraction of our Ghost Fleet, positioned throughout Coalition space. We've been observing your civilization for some time. The security forces froze, weapons still trained on Arnancy. The scientist is under our protection, Chen continued, as are all who seek peaceful exchange with Earth. These vessels have been in position for 2 months. You never saw us coming. Now ask yourselves, what else haven't you seen? As Coalition military channels exploded with panic, Arnancy slipped away in the confusion. Within hours, he was aboard an Earth diplomatic vessel, heading toward humanity's homeworld with the truth that would shatter the Coalition's carefully constructed order. In the Coalition war room, military leaders stared at sensor readings in horror. The humans hadn't just breached their borders. They'd been inside all along, watching and waiting. Initiate final solution, Supreme Commander Zavox ordered, his crystalline exoskeleton gleaming under the war room lights. All units converge on Sol system. The human contagion ends today. The Coalition's massive armada, ships gathered from 16 loyal species, launched toward Earth with overwhelming force. Victory seemed certain through sheer numbers. Then the failures began. First, navigation systems redirected ships into empty space. Then weapon systems registered as fully charged but wouldn't fire. Communication networks carried ghost signals, sending fleets in contradictory directions. The Coalition's mighty armada dissolved into chaos without a single shot fired. On Sailor Prime, the Coalition capital, Supreme Counselor Dareth watched in horror as reports flooded in. Impossible, she whispered. Our systems are impenetrable. Her aide approached cautiously. Counselor, we have situations developing. What situations? Tereth snapped. Simultaneous uprisings on 17 worlds, and the humans' ghost fleet ships are appearing in orbit around each one, not attacking, but preventing loyalist forces from intervening. On Meska II, a mining world, workers destroyed the inhibitor towers that had limited their neural development for generations. On Volux Prime, university students broadcast coalition suppression directives that had restricted technological research for centuries. Across the galaxy, species that had been carefully controlled through technological and biological constraints broke free in a single coordinated wave. In Earth's diplomatic headquarters, Dr. Elena Rice worked alongside her Nancy, broadcasting the truth to every coalition world. The ruling species had deliberately engineered subject populations for complacency and suppressed technological development to maintain control. The coalition wasn't founded on cooperation, Renancy's message explained, but conquest disguised as protection. Look at your own genetic code. The markers that limit neural plasticity, that restrict creative thinking, these weren't evolutionary adaptations. They were deliberately introduced. As coalition society fractured, Elena made a breakthrough in her research on the ancient shield technology. It's not isolated to Earth, she told Admiral Chen urgently. I've identified 17 other sites across the galaxy, each marking a world where humans once lived. Chen studied the star map. Recognition dawning. These correspond exactly with the worlds now in open rebellion. The dominant coalition species aren't just threatened by us, Elena explained. They're terrified of what we might remember. The genetic modifications they introduced to other species, they tried to use them on early human colonies too. But something in our biology resisted. So they quarantined us instead, Chen concluded. And created myths about us being monsters, Elena added. Forbidden technology isn't forbidden because it's dangerous. It's forbidden because it threatens their control. As they spoke, representatives from the rebelling worlds gathered on neutral ground station. Species who had been enemies under coalition rule discovered common cause in liberation. Together, they formed the Stellar Concordat, an alliance embracing human-inspired innovation and autonomy. Tereth watched her empire crumble on monitor screens, helpless to stop the cascade of revolutions. This cannot be happening, she hissed. An aide approached with new intelligence. Counselor, sensors detect unusual activity at the edge of coalition space. Automated systems activating on uninhabited worlds. On the display, ancient machinery dormant for millennia began powering up across multiple star systems, machines left by a civilization that predated even the coalition. A message repeated across emergency channels. Quarantine protocols failed. Purification sequence initiated. As the newly formed Concordat celebrated their liberation, they remained unaware of the ancient sentinels awakening in dark space. Machines programmed to ensure that what was buried would stay buried, even if it meant sterilizing entire worlds. Elena Rice felt the weight of history as her expedition team entered the ancient ruins on Proxima Centauri. 3 kilometers beneath the planet's surface, the vast complex had remained untouched for millennia. Until now. Incredible, she whispered, as her headlamp illuminated walls covered in symbols that seemed simultaneously alien and familiar. These matched the Antarctic chamber exactly. Her team moved carefully through the echoing halls, their footsteps disturbing dust undisturbed for thousands of years. Behind them, a second team followed. Coalition loyalists who had arrived minutes after the Earth expedition. Both groups raced to uncover the truth, maintaining an uneasy truce in the face of greater mysteries. Central chamber ahead, reported Martinez, Elena's security officer. Energy signatures active. The chamber doors, 20 meters tall and inscribed with mathematical formulas recognizable to any human physicist, opened at Elena's touch. Inside, crystalline structures filled the room, pulsing with soft blue light. Memory crystals, explained Arnancy, who had insisted on joining the expedition despite the danger. Ancient data storage. Alina approached the central console. Its interface responded to her presence, holographic controls shimmering into existence. "It recognizes you," Arnancy observed. "As it should." As Alina accessed the crystal matrix, vast projections filled the chamber. Star maps, biological diagrams, historical records. The history of the precursors unfolded before them. Not aliens, but ancient humans who had achieved galactic dominance before facing an existential threat. The corruption, a technological plague that merged machinery and biology into a consuming horror. "They were us," Alina breathed. "Or rather, we are them." The projection showed the precursors' desperate final strategy, seeding modified versions of themselves across habitable worlds, each colony genetically tailored to its environment. Earth had been their final repository, hidden behind the most powerful shield, its inhabitants engineered to rapidly evolve technological resistance against the corruption should it ever return. The Coalition didn't hide Earth, Arnancy realized. The precursors did, to protect their ultimate contingency. As the final records played, Coalition extremists attacked without warning. Energy weapons flashed as Martinez's security team returned fire, both groups taking cover among ancient technology too valuable to damage. The firefight froze as both sides' sensors detected massive energy signatures activating at the galaxy's edge. "The Veil," Arnancy whispered, recognition and terror in his voice. The precursor's automated defense system. The final projection showed mechanical sentinels, planet-sized constructs designed to sterilize worlds where the corruption might reemerge. "They're supposed to protect against the corruption's return," Alina said. "Why are they activating now?" Arnancy's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of distress. "Because the corruption survived, dormant in the genetic code of the Coalition's founding species. Your emergence triggered ancient quarantine protocols." A distant rumble shook the complex as everyone, human and Coalition alike, watched a live feed from the outermost Concordat worlds. Massive constructs emerged from hyperspace, methodically unleashing destructive energy that scored planetary surfaces down to bedrock. Alina activated her quantum communicator. Admiral Chen's face appeared, grim with the news of attacks across multiple systems. "I understand now," she told him urgently. "We weren't hidden to protect the galaxy from us. We were hidden to protect us until we were ready." "Ready for what?" Chen asked. "To face what's coming," Alina replied. "The Veil is just the first wave. If the corruption awakens fully, everything dies." Coalition and Earth forces looked at each other, former enemies now facing extinction together. Orbital Defense Station Alpha shuddered as another Veil attack glanced off its quantum shields. Admiral James Chen watched the battle unfold across multiple holographic displays. The Concordat's combined fleet was fighting valiantly, but failing systematically against the methodical precision of the ancient machines. "Shield integrity at 37%, reported his tactical officer. "The Veil adapts to each defense we deploy." Chen nodded grimly. "It's time." Deep within the station, in a chamber accessible only to those with the highest clearance, 23 volunteers prepared for humanity's most closely guarded breakthrough. Quantum consciousness transfer. "The procedure has been tested extensively," Dr. Mirai Tanaka explained to the volunteers. "Your consciousness will be mapped at the quantum level and merged with our most advanced AI systems. You'll maintain your identity while gaining processing capabilities no organic mind could achieve." Chen entered the chamber in a simple white garment. The other volunteers straightened respectfully, all top scientists and military strategists who understood the stakes. "I should go first," Chen said quietly. "Sir," objected his aide, "Earth needs its military leader." "Earth needs these hybrid minds to survive," Chen countered. "And they'll need someone to lead them." Dr. Tanaka nodded. "The integration chamber is ready, Admiral." The process took 17 minutes. To observers, it appeared that Chen simply lay inside a crystalline capsule, while quantum fields mapped and expanded his consciousness across digital substrates. Inside Chen's experience, it was a rebirth, his awareness exploding outward, embracing data flows that would overwhelm an unmodified human mind. When the capsule opened, Chen appeared physically unchanged, but the technicians monitoring his neural patterns registered activity across 5 dimensions of processing. "How do you feel, Admiral?" asked Dr. Tanaka. Chen smiled. "Like I've been seeing in black and white my entire life," and suddenly discovered color. The other volunteers followed, each integration refining the process. Within hours, 23 hybrid intelligences emerge, their consciousness spanning both biological and digital realms, capable of processing information at speeds no purely organic or synthetic mind could match. The hybrid defenders deployed immediately, their enhanced minds developing and implementing strategies across multiple dimensions of reality. Chen led them into battle against the Veil Sentinels, coordinating defensive patterns too complex for conventional minds to conceive. Meanwhile, in a secure laboratory aboard the station, Elena and Arnancy made a horrifying discovery. "It's worse than we thought," Elena said, examining genetic samples from coalition worlds experiencing unusual outbreaks. "The corruption isn't just a technological plague. It's a sentient parasite that merges technology and biology." Arnancy's analysis confirmed her fears. It survived by going dormant in the genetic code of the coalition's founding species. Our genetic manipulation programs unwittingly preserved it through the millennia. "And now it's waking up," Elena concluded. On the main view screen, both threats converged on Earth: the Veil to sterilize the corruption's potential vessels, and the corruption manifesting in population centers throughout the solar system as coalition refugees unwittingly carried it within their DNA. In the command center, hybrid Chen processed battle data across 17 dimensions simultaneously. The Veil's command ship had breached Earth's outer defenses. Statistical models gave humanity less than 7 hours before extinction. "We need the final precursor legacy," Elena told him urgently. "The one buried beneath Earth's surface." "The Nexus," Chen replied, understanding immediately. "You realize what that means. It would temporarily connect all human minds." "It's our only chance," Elena said. "One collective consciousness, accelerating innovation beyond anything we could achieve separately." Chen considered for exactly 3.7 seconds, an eternity for his hybrid mind. "Activate it," he ordered, "and pray we survive what we become." The Nexus activation sequence required simultaneous inputs from 7 locations around the globe. As Elena initiated the Antarctic node, she felt a strange calm despite the chaos unfolding worldwide. Above, the Veil's command ship had breached Earth's atmosphere, its massive form darkening skies over the Pacific. Across every continent, the first signs of corruption manifested. Coalition refugees convulsing as dormant genetic code activated, their bodies transforming into hybrid monstrosities. "Nexus synchronization at 87%, Elena reported. "Final sequence initiating." In orbit, hybrid Chen led the last defensive line, his consciousness operating across multiple dimensions as he coordinated Earth's remaining forces. His enhanced perception allowed him to see both threats in their true form: the Veil not simply as machines, but as physical manifestations of quantum algorithms, and the corruption as a sentient pattern spreading through biological and technological systems alike. "We can't hold them much longer," he communicated to Elena. "The Nexus is our final option." The ancient device beneath Antarctica, larger than any human construction, powered up fully for the first time in 12,000 years. Similar structures activated simultaneously across the planet. Energy fields enveloped Earth in a shimmering web. Then it happened. 10 billion human minds merged into a single consciousness, not erased or subsumed, but connected, each a neuron in a vast, temporary superorganism. The collective human consciousness, interfacing with Earth's AI systems, experienced technological advancement that would normally take centuries, unfolding in moments. Through this singular awareness, humanity perceived the true nature of both ancient threats. The veil wasn't just a weapon but a desperate final measure by the precursors. The corruption wasn't merely a plague, but a parasitic intelligence seeking to consume all life. In this moment of unity, they found their solution. Hybrid Chen, still leading the orbital defense, felt the collective consciousness flow through him. His forces executed impossibly complex maneuvers, not fighting the veil, but interfacing with it, reprogramming the ancient machines from within. On the surface, Alina and Arnancy worked with a precision born from millions of minds thinking as one. They isolated the corruption's base code, the pattern that allowed it to spread, and turned the veil's purification protocols against it. The veil's command ship, poised to sterilize Earth, paused. Its energy weapons, charged to erase all life on the planet, redirected toward corruption outbreaks. What had been humanity's executioner became its surgeon, excising the parasitic intelligence with microscopic precision. As the battle reached its climax, the human collective consciousness achieved what no individual could have imagined, not merely defeating the ancient threats, but transcending them. They repurposed the veil's technology and the corruption's adaptability into something entirely new. The nexus gently dissolved, returning humans to individual consciousness, but they emerged transformed, carrying fragments of their shared experience, forever changed by glimpsing their collective potential. 3 days later, Alina stood with Arnancy and Chen on a hillside overlooking the Pacific. The Veil ships, now reprogrammed allies, hovered peacefully in the distance. "What happens now?" Arnancy asked. "We rebuild," Chen replied, "not as conquerors or victims, but as synthesizers." Alina nodded, watching ships from across the former coalition arriving with refugees and ambassadors. Earth had become the center of a new civilization, one that merged the stability of ancient species with humanity's adaptive drive. "They never saw us coming," she said softly. "And now, together, we'll see where we can go." On the horizon, the first ships of the new civilization prepared to venture beyond known space, carrying forward a legacy nearly lost to time: humanity's endless capacity to adapt, innovate, and transcend.